Welcome to the Copa América Top 5 Highlights. Gym Rising versus Tunico. Gym Rising doing some really great early game aggression here towards Tunico's natural expansion with those speed links, forcing the drones off the mineral line. He does get held off, but a quick resupply of Zerglings and Banelings from Gym Rising does allow him to get up all the way into Tunico's main base. As you can see, those Zerglings just going to town on the drones. The Banelings trying to find a great place to connect. Oh, one great hit as well as a second one, and that does allow Gym Rising to get the GG. Winjin versus B-Lord. Phoenix's versus Hydralisk in the early game does allow Winjin to start feeling comfortable to go Colossus tech, but B-Lord is too smart as he proxies Aspire. Mulas come out of nowhere, and with not enough Stalkers to deal with this, you can see those Mulas are just going to town on the Colossus. He continues to try to make some Stalkers and some Phoenixes to deal with this, but there's too many Mutalisks right now, and he's just doing so much damage to that natural expansion. He pushes in with a lot of Mutalisks as well as Roaches, and he's eventually able to destroy that natural expansion and get the game. Winjin versus B-Lord once again. B-Lord coming for a huge attack here towards Winjin's expansion, but clutch force fields here from Winjin, actually able to trap a lot of the Roaches and the Hydralisks. A flank attack does come up from behind, but with a quick warp-in of Stalkers as well as great force field, he's able to get his Colossus into a good position. The initial force fields do fall, but once again there's a lot of Stalkers, and more great force fields actually manages to kill off the entire Zerg army and forces B-Lord away. Don't Panic versus Major. Both of these players are going to be going for a proxy-based play here on Neoplanet S. Don't Panic's idea is to hit with an immortal timing to try and win, and as you can see, he's doing a lot of damage to the natural base of Major. But behind this, Major does drop Widow Mines into the mineral line of Don't Panic to try and get some kills. He eventually is forced to retreat that natural expansion, but he's got a lot of SCVs and Marines to try and hold against this, to try and buy time as those Widow Mines finish off all of the probes. Great patience and just trying to thin out the numbers of Don't Panic eventually allows Major to take the game. Major versus B-Lord. Major's going to open up with a nice Hellion push, and B-Lord is going to defend against it beautifully. B-Lord's going to go for a counterattack himself of Roaches, Banelings, and a couple of Zerglings for resupply, and there's no real answer for Major to try and deal against this. In fact, you can see B-Lord gets all the way up into Major's main base. Every SCV is pulled off the mineral line to deal with this, and look at these Banelings, they're going to get some amazing hits here on those SCVs. A couple of Marines and Hellions will hold us off, but let's take a look at the Harvester count. There are 60 drones for B-Lord. There are 3 SCVs left for Major.
Yeah, whatever.
Now, Major didn't lose any of his orbital commands, so he's going to remake mules and continue to be as aggressive as possible. He's trying to pull B-Lord in multiple directions at once, buy some time to remake those SCVs. In fact, he makes a large enough army to kill off that 4th base. Transitioning into the late game here, we can see there are Mutalisks and Ultralisks from B-Lord. He's trying to find himself a good angle to engage because Major has been so aggressive this entire game. He remakes a lot of Ultralisks and goes for a big push towards Major's 4th base. Now the Planetary Fortress and the Marauders are going to do some good damage here to the Ultralisks. Eventually that Planetary Fortress will fall, but look how few Ultralisks are left after this attack. Major's going to remake a large enough army and go for a counterattack himself. A lot of Zerglings are going to stream in here, but it's going to be too little too late for B-Lord, and Major will have played the comeback of the century. That'll be it for today, everybody. We'll see you for the next Top 5.